all agree that selfies have become a really big thing these days? I think it's pretty safe to say that they're extremely popular, as evidenced on social media. What would you think if I was to share with you that there's actually a selfie of a different sort? Interesting? Have you ever heard of a vibrational selfie? That's what I like to call a snapshot of what thoughts look like. Have you ever wondered if it's possible to see thought energy and have physical evidence of it? If you could, do you think it might make a difference in how you would choose to think, feel, and act more often than not? No. I'm not talking about visualization, although I encourage visualizing what you want as much as possible. What I'm talking about is seeing the energy your thoughts emit on a regular basis. Guess what? With your permission, today I'm going to show you that visual. The very first time I had the experience of seeing my thought energy was in the form of an actual Polaroid picture taken with a Kirlian camera, and it was life-altering. Frankly, it looked terrible. Dr. Krawick explained the exposures to me. It was shocking for me to see the dark, fragmented, ugly-looking energy right there, staring me in the face. No denying it. And what was very interesting to me is that she didn't know what thoughts I had while the picture was being taken. I knew, though, and the picture showed exactly how I was thinking and feeling. And believe me, it wasn't pretty. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm not going to go into every detail of what the picture shows and how it's analyzed, although I definitely do that when I'm working with business and individual clients. But today, I'm just going to show you some examples. If you take a look at the screen, this is a picture similar to what mine was originally. It's based on 4 questions regarding thoughts we all pretty much have as we go about our days. Regular thoughts. And we have plenty of them. This is 4 exposures of a person's hand, not including the thumb. You can see the aura halos. This person displays very disorganized thinking, which is shown by the halos being fractured. The lower portion of the photo shows dark spots, and that indicates that they haven't let go of the past. Not looking too energized, is it? From the moment that I saw my very first picture, I was aware of not only how I felt when I chose to have thoughts of happiness, frustration, anger, and contentment, but how they actually looked. I also understood that it was up to me to do something about them. Nobody else, just me. Because I found this to be a very compelling, life-changing experience, I knew I wanted to actually share it with others. Actually, I think I had to share it with others. And my belief is that if it could help shape my life, attitude, and action moving forward, it would benefit many others as well. So I became a practitioner in the field. And I'm very pleased to say it has helped a whole lot of people. As the saying goes, when we know better, we do better, right? I think so. At least we should try, right? Several years ago, I had the privilege of conducting a study in a business where I was able, over the course of a very long day, show the management and staff what their thought energy looked like using this same method of Kirlian photography. Again, life-altering experience. There were 25 volunteer participants and each had 2 pictures taken with 4 exposures on each picture, just like the ones on the screen. The thoughts were based upon their work and were in this order. First one, a normal thought, followed by a happy thought, and then a thought that made them angry or frustrated, and the last one being what they considered to be a perfect work thought. So again, if you'd look at the screen, this is one such picture. You can see that the first 2 top exposures are almost non-existent. not a very happy employee. The bottom two exposures, the first one being frustrating or angry thoughts, had a strong energy. The last, the perfect, being the work thought, much the same. Perhaps their work thought was not being there at all. I then chatted with each person for approximately 5 minutes, analyzed their photograph, and explained the indicators to them. They all were very surprised, just like I was, to see what their energy looked like, which in the majority of cases looked an awful lot like this one. I gave them some alternative ideas that they may want to consider to help them reshape what their thoughts might be around how they felt about their jobs. My intention being to raise their spirits and hopefully uplift them so they could see, when we looked at the next picture, that just by deciding to think differently, their daily work experience might be more satisfying. And remember, just like Dr. Krowick didn't know my thoughts, I didn't know theirs, nor did I want to. We never discussed what they actually thought about in either of their pictures. That was their very own personal business, not mine. We then would look at the second picture with the questions being asked in the same order as the first one. Again, of course, being based upon their work thoughts. This next photo is an example of what thought energy can look like when we focus on changing our perspective. That's all, just a change in perspective. I think you might agree that this picture shows a dramatic difference in how our energy can change, simply based on someone choosing different thoughts. It really is that simple. As you can see by the thickness of the halos and colors, the energy is much, much more balanced and pronounced. Think you might like to hang out with someone with this energy? I think I know I would. The participants in the study found this experience to be extremely beneficial. They now had an actual imprint in their minds of their own thought energy, just like me. They became acutely aware that they were in control of it. We all know you can't unring a bell, right? So then, doesn't it stand to reason that the same goes for recognizing the difference in how our energy looks? The visual is a measurement that makes us think twice. Sort of like, we touch a hot stove. Put your fingers on that burner. And for most of us, it only takes once to know that it hurts and can cause damage to our fingers. Agree? Keeping our thoughts in check isn't the easiest thing to do when we're constantly bombarded by mainstream and social media negativity ad nauseum. But now that you have a picture of what this thought energy looks like, imagine what your own thought energy looks like if it's your norm to be scrolling, observing, reading, listening, and digesting this stuff. Yuck! What if we all gave ourselves a visual evaluation every morning, evening, in between, at work, home? Do you think that employers and employees would interact differently? Just imagine, if you will, the amazing effect that would or could have upon life and business if it was encouraged that people sit for a moment upon arriving at work, picturing what their thoughts look like, and if not in a good place, made a conscious decision to change them right there and then. How would that change the way business is done and how people conduct themselves during everyday transactions? Let me ask you this. What about driving in traffic? Now that might be a huge challenge for some. I invite you to look at the screen again. This next example is a photo of someone with very high work satisfaction. Wouldn't you want to have an employee or colleague with this kind of energy around you? I know I would. And I sure hope you do, because this photo is mine. I think you'd agree. Quite a difference from the first one I had done. No? When I work with my clients, this is what I teach them using my TAP method. Imagine the ripple effect, how parents could better parent, teachers could teach better, and students learn easier and faster. What if we taught children from a very young age that yes, their negative thoughts really don't look or feel as good as their positive ones, and that they have the power within to pivot and change the outcome. They have the ability, and it is their responsibility to do so. And we all have this ability and are responsible to be conscious, deliberate thinkers. I'd like to share a funny story with you, if I may. I used to be in direct party plan sales. And there were times that although the work was a lot of fun, I didn't always feel like going to do a party. Just like you probably don't feel like going to work. There was considerable work involved, sometimes inclement weather, late nights, But I knew my hostess and her guests deserved my best, and I always wanted to deliver a memorable, fun experience with high sales, which was benefit to everyone there, especially my hostesses. So when I arrived, after I had everything set up, prior to guests arriving, I'd ask permission to use the bathroom. And I would then proceed to make faces at myself in the mirror until I was laughing out loud. I hope my hostesses didn't hear me, because, well, otherwise they'd be wondering. Then with my shift in attitude, we all had a great time. I taught this technique to my team members over the years, and it always worked for them, and it can work for you too. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I hope you have found these much more valuable, and they will serve you well. So in closing, now that you have some thought energy visuals, I strongly encourage you to take regular selfies of a different sort than what is shared on social media. Take vibrational selfies and get ready for the changes that occur in your life. You don't need a camera now that you've seen examples. From now on, go ahead. And to quote the late Mr. Zig Ziglar, give yourself a checkup from the neck up to change your stinking thinking. If you've enjoyed this presentation and you'd like to learn more about my TAP method, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Debora J. Hollick, and I appreciate you spending some valuable time with me. Thank you.